Welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. This indeed is the podcast where you will learn a lot about investing, and hopefully that will help you make a lot more money and just become, well, a smarter human being. I have to say, it's not often you get to talk to a legend in business, an OG, if you will, especially in the internet era. That's just what I have here today. I am so jacked. Craig Newmark, Craigslist founder. Now you're leading what, Craig Newmark Philanthropies?
That's it.
Welcome to Opening Bid. It's a real honor to have you here.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here, but please don't be too impressed.
Don't be too. So there's a lot. I go all sorts of ways with this one, but as someone, literally at the founding of where the internet started. It's Craigslist. It's Yahoo in those early days. What do you think about this moment in technology? Given how fast AI is moving, I've been blown away. But how do you see it?
I'm pretty excited about it. Literally 50 years ago, I wanted to go into neural networks for language understanding. Then I realized I would like a job, and I stopped looking at it. And as a result, I was caught by surprise by the rapid developments these days, which I'm impressed by. In particular, I'm really excited about the use of generative AI for customer service. I'm working with Moms First and Reshma Saujani to do customer service AI for the paid leave programs for New York and now other states, I think including California. I'm working with Consumer Reports to do customer service related AI. My deal is that real-life customer service reps working with generative AI can give much better customer service than we see pretty much anywhere these days.
Do you share some of the wild fears about AI? We're not too far removed from seeing Elon Musk interact with these robots waving their hands. This is this wild stuff.
Well, remember those robots, what they can do in the future might be pretty exciting. I'm more concerned with that. I'm more concerned with news-related systems and generative AI replacing search. The deal is that we need to make sure that these systems are trained on reliable sources.
Well, I know you're very, as part of your philanthropy, you are giving to the journalism industry, if I'm correct. We'll get more into that. But what do you think about, now you're starting to see newsrooms or really legacy publications take the fight back to these AI platforms? I look at the New York Times, what they're doing now against one AI platform, and they also voice concerns with ChatGPT. Who's right? Is there right and wrong?
Well, in that specific issue about generative AI systems scraping news sites, I have friends who are on both sides of that question, and I'm disturbed that there's no clear consensus. I'm not very smart. I've built networks of people who can help advise me, and there's nothing clear on this. I am focusing more on issues involving reliable sources, but also people who are doing or potentially doing great work on generative AI. Bloomberg GPT has a lot of potential. It's not a product yet, but they've announced it. And I'm very excited about that because I trust Bloomberg Media.
Is there a risk that as these models, scrape various news organizations, that they're putting out falsehoods?
They're definitely putting out falsehoods already, depending on the people doing it and how careful they are. Journalism ethics applies to generative AI ethics, and people kind of neglect that a bit. But again, I talk to people who I know who know a lot more about that than I do. Like there's the CUNY School of Journalism, which is more or less right around the corner from here, and I talk to them a lot.
So when you were building Craigslist, is there comparisons to when you were building Craigslist in this moment now with AI? There are things that people should watch out for. Does it feel feverish?
I don't think there's much in the way of similarities in that there's big excitement about what AI can do. It may be overblown. The problem is now they feed on each other's outputs, and people may be careless in terms of what the systems may ingest, and that's kind of scary. There's this question of AI slop, where they may be reading in the output of other people's AI engines. So I'm very excited about it, maybe because I've read too much science fiction over the last 60 years. So excited about it, cautious about it, and I need to start using it more myself.
You mentioned customer service a moment ago. Why are you so passionate about customer service? So folks don't know, I hope I have it right. You left Craigslist in 2000, but you kept a customer service role for 18 years?
I stepped down from the CEO role in 2000.
Okay.
People helped me understand that as a manager, I suck. But I'm a great customer service rep. And the motivation is that Mr. and Mrs. Levin in Sunday school, way back, taught me that I should treat people like I want to be treated. Well, in customer service, I want to be treated with just reasonable, get to the point customer service. I should practice what I preach. And so that motivated me, and I've always tried to do that, even starting off with IBM. I worked for IBM for my first 17 years as a grown-up, and for most of the nearly 50 years I've been in the adult workforce. I've almost 40 years of that has been customer service.
Is it hard to watch this thing, Craigslist, you view as business as an organism, to not be involved with that day to day?
It's hard to let go, but I've had two big exercises in that, maybe three, when I stepped down from being CEO to retiring around 6 years ago. And the hardest step was basically giving all of my equity, my stock, to a 501c4. My deal is that I want all that money to go straight to the nonprofit world, and that was the best way to do that. I'm still wondering why there's no tax advantage, but I'd have to consult Earl, the CPA. And but my deal now is that I just have to figure out where that goes and how do I handle it over the next 5 to 20 years.
What was it like to make the decision to say, hey, I'm going to give away my wealth?
Once I thought it through, for a moment I winced, but then back to Mr. and Mrs. Levin at the Jewish Community Center in Morristown, New Jersey. They also taught me to know when enough is enough. I mean, like, how much do you need? I have all the luxuries that I want, like I can buy as many phone cases as I'd like. So know when enough is enough, and I internalized that long ago, and in the last 10, 15 years, I've been realizing it consciously. Now, this is not altruistic. It is not pious. It's just consciously returning to what I learned as a kid, as well as lessons in patriotism. The deal is that when I first decided how much to monetize Craigslist in '99, the bankers and VCs wanted to throw billions at me, but I realized what the Levins taught me and decided to follow through on that and to minimize modestly. Now I'm relearning the lessons of my parents, who were World War II kids.
So I guess in a way you agree with, of course, Bill Gates is out with his new Netflix documentary, and he had an interaction with Bernie Sanders, and I think Bill said he'd be okay having 62% less. What is it like to just, have these politicians say, hey, the wealthy is bad, but you're doing real good stuff on a grand scale?
I'm not interested in politics. I dabbled long ago, but not interested. I've joked telling my doctors, asking them if they could sedate me for the next 3 weeks. They're not interested. But the idea is that we need the politicians to step up more for cybersecurity. They need to step up more to support military families and vets. And aside from that, I guess got to stay focused and do where I need to do some good. I figure I've already given away 80–90% of what I have. And again, that's based on minimal monetization of Craigslist. Like people ask about the billionaire's pledge. I've never been a billionaire and don't know what I would do about that. I do, again, get all the streaming services I want.
Well, that's you've earned it.
Yeah, and although I do suspend them when I'm not interested. In fact, when that happens automatically today, I better check on it.
Well, it's free to stream Yahoo Finance. Hang with us for a sec, Craig. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid. I said this in the intro. It's very rare you get access to an OG/legend in the internet, but that's what we have here today in this episode of Opening Bid with Craig Newmark, Craigslist founder, and I'd say the founder of Craig Newmark Philanthropies. Before we get into when you're giving some of your money away, and I really like the thought of patriotic giving. I haven't really heard that before, so I want to dive into that. Without going too far down the rabbit hole, does it feel like, is democracy really at risk? As someone that it plays in journalism, has wealth, I mean, what's at risk in your view?
I'm narrowly focused, and I see that in cyberspace, the country is at risk because our foreign adversaries are already busy at work compromising infrastructure, like what surfaced was a ransomware attack at a big water supply and waste treatment company. Infrastructure, including electrical supplies, are at risk. I think a lot about this, and I've started to fund networks of smart volunteers who can help people protect infrastructure, particularly when it comes to the small companies and utilities across the country who are responsible for most of our country's electrical and power supplies, transportation infrastructure, food distribution. The deal is that a lot of these systems have no protection, so an adversary could just compromise them, saying that, hey, unless you do what we need, we can start shutting off these things. And most of these systems don't have much resilience built into them. They can recover, but it could take weeks, and weeks without your water supply or electricity, that's not good. So again, the theme is that I'm not very smart, but I know smart people. I'm supporting them with cash, and I'm supporting them by getting them to talk to each other, and that seems to be pretty good. I figure if I'm going to tell all the infrastructure providers in the country, you got to do a better job, I want to do it in a respectful and helpful way, meaning that when I say that, we should have the volunteer networks evolving and hopefully in place by then. Mm-hmm. This is not going to endear them to me at first.
I think a lot of folks will be shocked to hell to think that the water supply is at risk. I mean, how severe a risk is that in our lifetime that our water supply might get hacked or compromised by an adversary?
Well, the big guys, FBI and I think Homeland Security, have testified to Congress that our infrastructure is already under attack. We need to do something. And unfortunately, sometimes I prefer to beg forgiveness than ask permission. And we've already started funding some of these folks. I will have a newsletter going out via LinkedIn tomorrow talking about some of the measures I'm taking to build the networks of protection for infrastructure. For example, Josh Corman at the Institute for Security and Technology and Jake Braun at the University of Chicago Franklin Project. The deal is our country is under attack now, and it's not like I'm in the recruiting line after Pearl Harbor, because my dad volunteered in the 40s. but that's what I guess I should be doing. I do contemplate that here I am volunteering. I'm 72, or will be in a few weeks.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. The deal is that I'm an old man, but I can still do something. And we've started a campaign where we're asking everyone in the country to do what people did in World War II, playing whatever role they can.
Why? How did you gravitate towards patriotic giving?
It wasn't a cautious thought. It was that my intuition smelled something funny going on. I started getting into cybersecurity, and then I saw that talking to people who are the professionals fighting the fight, and they're telling me that they can only do so much. The nonprofit world, networks of volunteers got to stand up. Long ago, 15 years ago, my intuition similarly said, hey, I got to support vets because they need a lot of support. Coming back from fighting a war is really tough. So I started supporting vets groups. Now that's all handled by the Bob Woodruff Foundation. But also recently how I understood how important it is to support military families. 600,000 military families get moved around every year. And when you get moved around, you have no idea who to talk to for being part of a neighborhood, where to find childcare, food. So for that, I'm supporting Blue Star families. The deal is that our vets and our military families and our cybersecurity fighters need a lot more help, and they're not getting enough of that help.
How much have you given toward your causes the past few years?
I don't have a good total because I'm focused on moving forward all the time. So far, it's been $200 million for cybersecurity. Recently, I announced $100 million more for cybersecurity. I wasn't clear that it was more. I've already committed around $100 million for vets and military families. That's close to being gone. And next month is Veterans Day, and I should recommit. And since my years at IBM programmed me to not pre-announce anything, so I'd only like to add.
So who carries in your life, who carries that baton? You know, whenever, not to get morbid, but when that time comes, like who's going to pick up your work?
That's still something I'm figuring out. For example, I'm thinking 20 years out. I'm 72. The arithmetic suggests that my primary tool of due diligence will be a seance. Now, the deal is that I think I have to finance high bandwidth Ouija boards.
Sometimes you just have speechless moments in these podcasts. I think that's one of them. Let me go back to.
Well, maybe I should just come back and haunt people.
That would be cool. I would actually love to do that. You know, when my time eventually comes. I got about 50 people I would love to haunt. Let's go back to those early days of Craigslist. You know, I think everybody's used Craigslist. We all know it. What was it like to create a business like that?
Creating Craigslist, getting serious about it, making a real business. I really am a nerd with all the dysfunction that implies. So it's all been very surreal. And mostly it was just starting things, building a tiny network of people who were good at their job, and then getting out of the way. So I'm not an entrepreneur.
Why didn't you monetize?
Minimal monetization was about remembering what the Levins taught me at Sunday school, that I should know when enough is enough. And frankly, back then and now, being a really good technologist is a lucrative way to make a living. So again, how much do you really need? I'm not much for fancy cars. I have no cars.
No cars?
Correct.
How do you get around? Just public transportation?
I got here on the A train.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go back on the 1 train.
Okay.
And
what listeners don't hear is Our team in the back, I think, is really enjoying this. You may hear some laughs, but it's good. This is a good conversation. I can't believe some of these things.
I think your producer expected me to come via a car, but the A train leaves off a block away.
Okay.
And I think the 1 train is like a block away. And
you have a big house, right? Big house, a pool, and
I have honestly 2 small houses.
okay.
My problem is that I have a lot of ties back in San Francisco, family and friends, and that my wife's family is very large and likes to visit. But the next visit is in 2 days.
You are so different, in my view, compared to the modern day person that works in tech land. What's your advice to some of these folks that are rolling around in Lamborghinis? They got 25 Rolexes. They just raised $1 billion at a high valuation. What can they learn from you?
I'm not judgy at all. I try hard not to be. I tell people that, hey, the people who protect us could use some help. The amounts of money comparatively are small, and so why not help out?
Mm-hmm. Where do you see, where is a Craigslist a decade from now?
As for Craigslist, I think more of the same. Craigslist, in some respects, has been about 2 things: helping people get through the day to put food on the table, and Craigslist helped conceivably tens or even hundreds of millions of Americans learn that the internet is useful and reasonably easy to use. I'm pleased that Craigslist is one of the couple ungentrified sites on the internet. The other one is Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. Where do you see, before I let you go, is there any tips to inspiring entrepreneurs that you would like to give? If they want to be at a point when they're 72 and giving away a lot of their wealth for good causes, how can they get there?
Well, I'd remind people of what people learned in Sunday school, and to follow through with that. I'd remind people that they can do things in a way that's pretty positive, although on the downside, remember that no good deed goes unpunished. You got to be prepared to communicate well, and that you never know when something is going to happen.
Do you think you've flown under the radar in the world of business?
Me personally, I have, despite my glamour. I'm fairly laid back, and I'm putting a lot of my time, energy, and money into promoting the people who are getting good stuff done. The exception is that when I think I'm funny, although I know that I'm not as funny as I think I am.
Okay, so no cars. You got the subscriptions to various streamings, 2 houses. I think you're doing some good work. You are, in fact, an OG and a legend. It was so great to get some time with you, Craig Newmark, Craigslist founder. Craig Newmark Philanthropies, doing some really good things for patriotic giving.
Hey, and remember, a nerd's got to do what a nerd's got to do.
That's what we call an opening bid, a drop the mic moment. That's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. You never know what you're going to get on this podcast.